Scary. Hey kids, it's a scary lab time with the scary lab table and the haunted screwdriver. Ooh. Oh, trust me kids, this is super scary. It's like no screwdriver you ever heard of. Believe me, it's got like ghosts in it and oh, what the hell. Anyway, I picked up this little toy for $5, as it says, $5. Uh, it's a fake neon sign. Oh, ooh, ooh. Which I thought actually was pretty cool. Oh, here we go. Ooh, scary. Ooh, 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 kids. Okay, so I thought this was actually pretty cool. I mean, for $5, and I thought this did a really good job emulating neon tube. Although I thought when I saw this in the store, it wouldn't turn on. I had to put batteries in it, a couple triple A's, and I thought maybe it had a piece of EL wire going through it. But I thought, yeah, probably not for $5, because for a $5 thingy, they're not going to have a transformer in there or some kind of high voltage switching supply. So I thought it's probably LED, but I wanted to try and crack it open. Ooh, there you go. Ooh, ooh. That's scary, kids. Super scary. Ooh. 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 So I wanted to try and break it open. Before I did, though, I wanted to show that this is a novelty clock that I got back in the 80s, when this kind of stuff was kind of in vogue, the 50s diner look, and actually I had this in my 50s diner that I had back then. I had a little diner booth kitchen, and this actually has a real high voltage tube. Get the exposure. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Although this is not actually like a genuine neon either, because although there's probably neon in that tube, neon isn't really not that bright. Pure neon is very rarely used these days in neon signs. It's usually argon because neon isn't that bright. And if the tube, if you look at neon signs today that are in shop windows or anything, if it's a white tube looking like a fluorescent bulb, it's pretty much what it is. It's a fluorescent tube. That there's probably a mixture of neon and argon if it's kind of pink like this. And probably a little bit of mercury, because with all the fluorescent tubes, see, they put a drop of mercury in there because when they rarefy the atmosphere, you know, and get it to a vacuum, and then after they get it to a vacuum, they add a little bit of neon, a little bit of argon at very low atmospheric pressure, and they put a little drop of mercury in there, and at the low pressure, the mercury will boil and vaporize, and the mercury vapor in the tube shifts the spectrum to the ultraviolet, and it becomes a very good ultraviolet source. And the ultraviolet is used to stimulate phosphors, which are coated in the inside of the tube, and it's the phosphors that actually create the brilliant light. If it didn't have the phosphor coating in there, and if it was pure neon, it would be a very dim orangish red, which is why pure neon you don't really see it that often because of the dimness. And it's really a shame. Back in the 90s, I had a good collection of genuine antique neon sign tubes that I had recovered from signs and such over the years, and I used to fire them up with my transformer, high voltage transformer, but sadly, like most things that I had in the 90s, I lost them in one of many moves in and out of Brooklyn. But yeah, I've always been fascinated with neon tubes. I still am. Even though this is not a real neon tube, I did want to crack it open if I can without totally breaking it, because I do like it, and see exactly how they pulled off the faux neon tube illusion. So let's get to this super scary teardown and begin with the scary music. Woo! sharp chisel, universal tool. I use these a lot for getting into tough spots. Like if you need something really strong and really sharp to get into a tough space, use a chisel. Okay, this is so scary. Ooh. Okay, ooh. Oh kids, this is so scary. Ooh. All right, we're in. That's really neat. Looks like they just have a little bit of, hot snot in there. Regular hot glue, gluing it down. It's just a piece of flexi strip with surface mount LEDs. Oh, pretty simple. I can put it back together. Yep. Alright, and I didn't break it. Look at that. Alright. Ooh. Ooh. Scary. Ooh. Alright. Well, that's the scary mystery of the neon toys that you get for $5. That's a pretty good buy. I think this is a really cool toy. You know, if I were 10 years old and had something like this, I don't think I'd ever stop staring at it. I'd be so, I would have been so just mesmerized by it. You know, if my kid self, my kid self is looking at it right now and liking it. I just really think stuff like this is really neat. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. Thanks everybody. Happy Halloween. You know, I'm looking forward to tomorrow because the best thing about Halloween is the day after Halloween, where you get to buy the candy at half price. Ooh. Thanks. Ooh. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this, nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly as I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still be the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entering entrance into my chamber door, some late visitor entering entrance into my chamber door. Yes, of course, that is it, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, nothing more." Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal had ever dared dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore?" This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard the tapping of somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what threat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when in many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mine or lady or lord perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of countenance it wore. "Though my chest be sworn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven wandering from the nightly shore? Tell me what thy lordly name is on thy night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculpted bust upon his chamber door, with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before, on the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, startled at the stillness broken. My reply was so aptly spoken. "Doubtless," said I, "what it utters is only stock and store caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of nevermore." But the raven, still beguiling, sat fancy into smiling. Straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy into fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. As I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core, this and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on a cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight glowed over. But those velvet, violet lining with the lamplight glowed over, she shall press nevermore.